Hi, welcome back to this class today, which is entitled Menopause, but this is for men and women. So this is not exclusively for women because men have cycles and moods as well. All right? So just have together some props, bolsters, if you have a couple bolsters, a couple blankets, blocks, a chair. And if you don't, just have whatever you have in the house. You may need them, you may not need them. Okay? So I encourage everyone to enjoy, be in the poses, and stay there with your breath. Let's get started.
Before we get started, if you want to learn the basics of Iyengar Yoga,
I've designed a new course, Foundational Iyengar Yoga. This course is for you if you're a beginner, if you've been practicing for a while and you just want to deepen your understanding, or if you're a teacher and you would like to be more inspired, go back to the basics. So it's a 6-week course, 18 different classes, and you'll be able to go through at your own pace.
you can find more details in the description box below.
Hi, welcome to today's class. Today's focus is on menopause. So this is menopause for men and women, all right? So men have changes that happen in their body, whether they're scientifically proven or not. We know it through yogic technology. So a lot of these poses will be for the men as well as the women, as well as young people and old people. Okay, so everyone can join this class. So first, we're seated with a chair behind us, all right? And I'm sitting on a little bit of a cushion. Then I'm going to bring my legs first just in front of me into Dandasana. So I want to sit on my sitting bones and come right to the back of this chair. So I can feel the chair right at my back ribs. And then I'll take my hands behind, even back further, if I can take them back further. Yeah, I can catch that chair. Bring the toes back towards you, extend the heels, move the thighs down, and roll the shoulders. So I think it's better if I take the front bar. So I want to really gain access to the shoulders moving back. So I'm rising up, shoulders are descending, and then you can keep your chin level. But I have the direction of the front body lifting up. I'm lengthening my lower back up as well. And I'm lifting up through the chest, using the support of that chair to feel the shoulder blades and the back ribs so I get a nice lift. Take a few breaths there. So when this time of the cycle comes, for a woman in particular, there are many changes that happen in the body, but not just for women. So the poses that we'll go over today will be for addressing all the areas of the body that need to be addressed to get more space, length, and freedom, but also to remove any sluggish areas. So here, your feet are wider in Upavistha. You're going to come to that same lift. So lengthening up. So there's oftentimes stagnation that happens. There's many different emotions that can come. There's many different physiological things that happen in the body. For instance, a woman having hot flashes or not being able to sleep, getting moody, having emotions. So all of these poses today will help to just really calm some of those areas down and to activate and stimulate some so that there's movement, there's circulation, and there's freedom that comes. Peace of mind, and to tone up the nervous system. So lifting up, lift the chest. Okay. I've put a bolster behind me. If you wanted to stay in this pose, your head wasn't comfortable, you can have the bolster there. You could even have 2 bolsters and then bring the head back. So here you're a little supported. So if we don't stay longer in this pose today, this is something that you can do, which will bring more space to the front of the pelvis and have you supported so you can stay longer. All right, and then we'll come out. And now you're going to bring the legs back into Dandasana. Bring the feet towards you into Baddha Konasana. So just making sure that you can bring the legs towards you as much as possible so you can slide that platform back and bring the legs in as much as you can without creating any tension in your groin. So have enough height so that you can sit high enough so that your knees are able to descend, all right? And only bring your feet in as much as, it feels comfortable for you. If your thighs are lifted off the floor and that's a little uncomfortable, you can also take a blanket here and take the blanket, roll it, so take it and open it up and make it longer. Or you could take a couple towels, one on each side, and have that right near that hip, okay? So you feel a little bit more supported. The hips are resting on the blanket, and I've got my back on that chair. So making sure that your back is not slanted back. So you want your shoulders over your hips. So have the hips far enough into that chair, toward the chair, that your spinal column is vertical. And then take your arms on that chair. And whether you bring your head back or not, so that bolster is not quite enough for me. So if I had 2 bolsters, that would be better. So I can try turning this bolster sideways. There. So it's a little bit wider. And then I can bring my head back. So I'm lifting up. Whether you do that or not, just lift up. Feel the shoulder blades moving in and the chest lifting. Just be there for a few breaths. Enjoy that support under your hips. Press your feet together, lengthening the inner groin so the whole pelvis is opening and the abdominal area has some space. So we have all the organs there and a lot is going on. Our digestion, our reproductive system, elimination, and the lymph. So much is happening. So just allow that space to come to get some circulation, get some blood flow, and to feel the breath, easing any tension in the abdomen. And then you're going to release. And then straighten your legs back out into Dandasana. And now I'm going to take a setup and set up for Virasana and then Supta Virasana. Okay, so here I'm going to take the chair away and I'll have a bolster. Depending on your abilities, you may need 1 bolster or 2 bolsters. Some of you may not need any bolsters, but I'm going to show with more height. Okay, so coming into Virasana, you're going to sit on the knees, stretch back through the ankles, and sit between the ankles. Now, if that's difficult for you, you can have a block to sit on. And because I have the 2 bolsters, it's going to be high enough. If you're sitting on a block, you'll definitely need 2 bolsters to go back. But if you're on the floor with your feet and not sitting on the block, then 2 bolsters would probably be too much for you. So just see what you need. I'm going to show first with the block. So sitting back, you on the fronts of the ankles, have the heel close into the hips. And then you can see my pelvis. I'm on my sitting bones, but I want to turn my pelvis under. So I'm tilting the pelvis. So I'll come down with the hands on the floor, tilt the pelvis, and then have the bolster there to support the lower back. So here it's right by the tailbone, by the sacrum, here by the lower back, and then I come down. Okay, you can also have a blanket or some other form of cushion right to the back of the head, up to the shoulders. And here you're lengthening the front of the thighs, you're opening through the pelvis, and you can bring your arms over your head, hold onto the elbows. So here, this is one way to do it with the 2 bolsters. So you can try this way first. If you don't have 2 bolsters, you can build up this bottom bolster by putting a couple blocks or cushions under that to build it up. If you don't need that, you can come back up, or if you didn't have all those props, you can just come down with 1 bolsters. I'll show without the block if you were coming down onto the floor. So sitting in Virasana, I'm going to adjust the pelvis the same way. Bring that bolster into the lower back. Press my hands down and lift up. So I'm going to move this out of the way so you can make sure you see. And move the tailbone down. You can lift the knees up so you keep the heels close to the hips and adjust the pelvis. So you can take your hands right on the top of the buttocks, move the buttocks down, and then lay your whole back down. So I'm not putting my shoulders down first, but I'm pressing the lower back and then the middle back and then the upper back so that there's even weight throughout the spine. And then bring your arms over and hold onto the elbows. So the thighs are parallel to one another. Inner thighs rotate down, outer hips moving down. And this is more of a supported Supta Virasana. So at this stage in your life, this might feel nice right now to have this supported version. If you have any knee injury, ankle injury, anything like that, taking more height is going to feel better on those joints. Extend the arms again. Change the cross on the arms. Let the arms be heavy. So with that, you can feel the shoulder blades moving flat against the back body toward the chest. Let the elbows descend down. And make sure, check in with your lower back. Make sure you don't feel any tension there. If you do, maybe again, lengthen a little bit more. You also want to have this lower back lifting up. So this is moving up, this is moving down. So you're creating that freedom through the back spinal column as well as the length through the front body. Just a few more breaths there. Let your breath be relaxed. And just notice your breath. So notice your inhalation, your exhalation, and let it be a little bit longer. And as you lengthen it, lengthening through the fronts of the thighs, bring that breath with you, traveling with the breath. Just allowing yourself to be there. So we're going to cover a lot today, so we won't stay in these poses very long, but these are things that you can come to anytime and stay longer in. So just be content to be in a pose, stay there, and breathe into it. Taking your time, relaxing your mind, creating freedom in the body. All right, we'll come up. So the way you come up is you'll press your hands down, and you want to bring your head up last. So you'll come up from the shoulder blades, absorb the spine into the body, lift up, and then come back into Virasana. So you have to lift up slightly, come right onto your sitting bones, and then bring your hands out in front of you, Parvatasana, reach up, extend up with the arms, pressing the hands as if you were doing a handstand. Press up toward the ceiling. Look up, lift the chin. Let the tops of the shoulders descend. Lower back moving in and lifting up. And then bring the head down and bring the arms down. So now you're going to come into forward Virasana. So you'll take your legs wide. Bring the bolster in towards your abdomen, coming forward on that bolster. Now just be with the breath. So feel the abdominal area, let it soften, spread, and deflate. And as you do that, feel the sides of the trunk widen, feel the back body release down. So now you're working with gravity, so the back is descending toward that support. So just be allowing of that support. Forehead resting. Shoulders relaxing back away from the head. Lower back lengthening. Stay with that exhalation, feeling the abdominal action as you exhale. A few more breaths. Stay there. Noticing your need to want to move, to want to get up. Just allow yourself that time. And then inhale, come up. All right, so now you'll take your bolster away and you'll lie down on your back. And you can face, face the wall. And you're going to have your hips moving in, tucking under. So you're on your lower back evenly. And just measure yourself. You want to be a little bit closer than one leg's length away. So if I straighten my leg right now, I'm a little bit too close to the wall. So that's exactly how I want it. So you can start with both knees bent and then stretch both legs, pressing from the heel, not the ball of the foot, press the heel, and then straighten both legs. Bring both feet together. You'll feel your pants slide down. You may even feel your shoulders slide down. So you want the whole back of the body lengthening. Come to Padangusthasana 1 and 2. So we'll start with the right leg. Bring the leg up. Bring that strap onto the heel. And line up the leg so that the heel is in line with the hip. And just activate the leg in such a way that it's drawing down into the hip socket and the abdomen becomes quiet. Okay, if you're on your cycle right now, you can you won't do this one, you'll come to Supta Padangusthasana 2. Okay, we're going to do both of these. So if you're in your cycle, you'll come to Supta Padangusthasana 2, and you'll do that twice. So those of you that are not on their cycle, or pregnant, this is for menopause, so you probably wouldn't be pregnant, but anyone can do this, so just giving the adjustments for different conditions in your body, in your cycle. All right, so Supta Padangusthasana, keep the heel pressing at the wall, thigh descending. And now take the strap in the right hand. Keep the left arm down, so you want to keep this whole left side of the body down. So the pelvis remains stable on the floor. So there's a little bit of an activation through the abdominal muscles to descend down. There's just a toning that happens in the abdomen, so you're not gripping, but you're bringing the leg over to the side. If that's difficult for you, without the leg falling to that side, then just come down, have the bolster there to rest on, or you can have a block. Press your arm down into that, and just let the inner leg lengthen. From the outer heel, you're drawing back to the outer knee, to the outer hip. So there's a circular action with the leg. There's a lengthening, and there's a drawing back. Like when the leg was up, there's a connection into the pelvis. Here, you're still connected into the pelvis. And have some breaths there, feeling that abdominal space, wide, broad, and your breath, helping to have that exhalation to release down. And then bring the leg back up. Take the strap off, bring both feet to the wall. If you've come away from the wall, move yourself in, tilt your pelvis, bring both feet to the wall, and then prepare to do the other side. So you can take that bolster to the other side if you were using the bolster. Take the foot up. First coming onto the heel, for those of you in your cycle, bring your leg over to the side. So menopause is a long cycle. It can last about 10 years. It can even last longer. So you may be having on your cycle right now, or you may not be. Doesn't matter. If you are, take the leg to the side. If you're not, start with Supta Padangusthasana with the leg up, and then go to the side. So now breathing, moving that thigh away. So the front of the thigh is moving toward the wall. So you continue to get that space through the left side of the hip, left side of the waist. And then feel how you need to counterbalance. So even though the leg is going to that side and you have all the weight there, keep that weight on the right side. So the right side of the abdomen is moving down, right back ribs. Just be there and breathe. With that exhalation, relax the whole core of the body with a soft breath. Even though you're working certain areas and you're working to maintain and balance, you still maintain that softness through your breath. That comes with practice. And then bring the leg up. Take the strap off. Bring both feet to the wall, and then take your hands. You can just hook your thumbs, press the heels, the ball of the foot, lengthen through the arms. Feeling the feet against the wall, press into the wall as you move the tailbone down towards your heels, and then reach up from your hips, from your back waist, lengthen up through the arms. So as you press the mounds of the toes into the wall, bring your toes away and lift your kneecaps, tighten your kneecaps, move the thighs down. So now your buttocks is fixed on the floor. So absorb the tailbone into the body as you move the thighs down. Take a few breaths there. And then release your arms, release your legs. Bend your knees and roll onto your right side. And press yourself up. Okay, so now we're going to come to a standing position. So you can take all of your props. Maybe you keep your bolster. You're going to come up and come into Prasarita Padottanasana. Okay, so you're having your legs wide. So they're wider than most standing poses. All right, so be on the inner foot, be on the outer foot. So the inner thighs are moving away. And we'll come forward. And when you come forward, I want you to have your head supported on something. So when I come forward, I'm deepening through the groin, bringing my hands in front first, creating some length. So the thighs are moving back, hips are moving, trunk is moving forward. And then I'll move my hands back and bend my elbows and bring the crown of the head down. Okay, so that's where you want to move to. If that's not going to be possible, then you'll have the bolster there. And bring your head, to be able to show you, I'm going to bring my legs closer. So if you're coming down like this, then have the bolster or have a block or even have a chair so that your head is supported. Okay? So coming down again, you're bending, hands in the front, first lengthening, so the thighs are moving back, trunk is lengthening forward. Walk your hands back towards your arches, if you can, and then bend the elbows. Elbows are moving back, come right onto the crown of the head. As I come down, as I lengthen the back of the head, I'm pressing my hands into the floor, lifting the shoulders up. So observe where you are on your feet. Lift up through the backs of the legs. From the outer hips, descend down to your outer heels. So coming right onto the crown of the head. Let the neck lengthen. And as you press the hands
Press the forearms down and lift the upper arms and the shoulders away from the floor. So this is a preparation for headstand. So learning how to be in Prasarita Padottanasana to quiet down the brain and get ready for inversions. Inversions are a big part of adjusting the hormonal system. So I'll show two different versions of headstand, so you can take what's appropriate. And then you'll come up, walk your hands forward, and then bring your hands onto your hips. And now you're going to have your bolster. We're going to come into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So you'll have your hands on each side of the bolster. I want to be right on the forehead, right here. So the skin of the forehead is moving down. So you move and adjust that bolster. Or even if you need to have more support, you can have the bolster like so, with the block. And then adjust it so that when you come down, first you'll come down with legs wide, Prasarita Padottanasana, and let the head rest. Keep the arms lengthened. So you're using the arms to, again, lengthen through the side trunk, the front body, as you move the thighs back. Creating space through the pelvis with the wide leg position. And then coming up, you'll bring your feet in line with your hips and come into classic Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. Let the head rest. Keep the arms active, lifting and lengthening all the way up through the hips as you move your hips back. Activating the legs so the front thighs are moving back. Extend the calves toward the heels. Come back to your breath. And then walk your feet forward. And you're going to use the bolster, turn the bolster, bring it right up to the abdomen, and then falling forward, you can cross your arms and support your head. If that's not enough support, you can also use a blanket, or you can even have your forearms on a chair. So taking the support that you need, so I'm just showing here with the blanket, if that wasn't enough for you, or with the chair, Uttanasana, with the head supported. So either way, your feet are underneath your hips. If you're bringing the head down, you can also use a couple blocks. So everyone has a different body condition. Everyone has been practicing a different amount. So at this stage in your life, take the support that you need, but be on the crown of the head with that support. If you're using the chair, just have your forehead on your arms. Quiet breath. So actively pressing the heels down, lifting up through the backs of the thighs. Roll the inner thigh back. With the fingertips pressing, or the arms pressing, lift the upper arm and shoulders away from the floor. Soften the breath. Preparing to come up, bring your hands in front of you. Bring your hands onto your hips, and then inhale, come up. Okay, so now we're going to take props off. We're going to come into a couple of standing poses. So as I said in the beginning, This sequence is to really activate all different areas of the body that need to be activated. So I'll take 2 blocks. And you can do this against the wall, or you can do it in the center. All right? You can also use a chair. So I'll just have the chair here in case you want to use the chair. I'll show that. So you're coming into a wide leg stride, like Prasarita Padottanasana, a little bit less than that. Turn the foot, externally rotate the foot. We'll come into Ardha Chandrasana first. So that's a balancing pose. We'll come down, and you can bring your hand onto the chair or the hand onto the block. So for those of you that don't have as much stability or haven't been practicing, you can use your forearm on that chair and lift the back leg. And then extend your arm up, turn the chest, and look up. Keep that back leg lifted, and keep activating through that foot. Press the heel away. And then come down. So I'm going to show on the other side now. You can either use the chair again, or you can use the block. So I'll show with the block. So we'll do the other side. Have your feet wide. Externally rotate your front leg. Coming down, you'll move the block forward. The block has many heights, so you can have it on the higher height, the lower height. I think the lower heights are more stable. So when you come forward, you want to have the hand directly underneath the shoulder, and you're turning that pelvis, opening through the front of the pelvis, lifting the leg, and use that lifted leg to straighten the front leg. And then extend the arm up. Use that upper arm to lift up and turn. You can always, if that's not going to work for you there, you can always come to the wall. Use the wall also to stay a little bit longer. Okay, so you're opening through the pelvis, you're extending through the back leg, using that bottom hand to lift and turn the chest. So as you open here, you're also lengthening and you're creating that breath. Bring your head back to the wall, turn your top chest, and then come down. Okay, we'll go into Utthita Parsvakonasana, so let's have your blocks again. Again, you can use the chair in the same way, so have your feet wide, externally rotate the leg, coming into that Virabhadrasana 2, and then come over into Utthita Parsvakonasana. So you're in this open pelvis position, pressing the hand down, turning the chest, keeping that back leg lifted, lift the arm. Exhale, bring the arm over the head. So if it's difficult to bring the arm over, just keep the arm on the hip. So any variation is fine. Bring the arm up, gives you some space, gives you some lift. And bringing the arm over helps you get more extension through that side trunk. And then lift up. If you're getting too heated, then come to Uttanasana or come to forward Virasana. Bending the knee, coming down. So this inner leg is lengthening, like in Supta Padangusthasana 1, lengthening, drawing back through the outer hip. And then lift the arm up. Take a few breaths. Connect from the feet to the legs to the pelvis, and then bring the arm over the head. From that bottom hand, connect to that bottom shoulder blade, move it forward, and turn the chest. Look up underneath your arm. And then inhale, come up. Turn the feet. Come forward, Prasarita Padottanasana, and
Adho Mukha Svanasana, walk your hands forward, move your hips back. Let your head be between the arms. Just take a few breaths there. And then bring your hands onto your hips. Have one of your blocks on the left side. Turn your leg, Utthita Trikonasana. So straighten this standing leg. Press into the feet. And then lengthen over. Again, with your hand on your hip, just to come into the pose. Make sure the legs are connecting, the arm is connecting. Turn the trunk. Come back to the breath. And then lift up. Straighten that front leg. Inhale, come up. Turn the feet. Turn to do the other side. If you don't have blocks, then you can just bring the hand onto the shin or onto the floor, depending on your capability, and then lift your arm up. So if you bring your hand onto the floor and you're shortening like this, take some height. If you don't have a block or a chair, use your hand on the shin, not pressing down too much. Straighten the leg and turn the chest. Breathe. Inhale, come up. Turn the feet. Walk the feet in. Stand in Tadasana. Bring the feet together. And just come to a quiet breath. So outer hips moving in, front thighs moving back, back body moving forward. Inhale, lift your arms, Urdhva Hastasana. Reaching up. Just look up at your hands. See that they're both lengthening equally. Maybe one side is lifting up higher than the other. Lengthening. So as you lift the arms, drop the shoulders. Stay connected to the feet. Stay connected to the breath. And then bring your hands down. Bring your right arm up. Bend the elbow. Take the hand back. Elbows in line with the shoulder. Take the other arm back. Walk the hand up. Either just press your hand into the back, or if you can catch the fingers, catch the fingers. And as you do that, absorb the spine into the body. Move the back ribs forward. Lift up through the chest. Lift that arm up and descend the other arm down. And then release. Come to the other side. Bring the arm up. Bring the hand back. Walk the fingers down. Extend the arm, bend the elbow, walk the hand up as high as you can. If you can catch just the tips of the fingers, bend the fingers. If not, just press the hand into the back. Draw that right shoulder back and lift the left elbow from the armpit area up through the elbow. Soft breath. Relax the shoulders down. Move the spine into the body and keep the chest lifted. And then release. Bring your arms out to the side, widening through both. And now you're going to take your hands behind you into Paschima Namaskar. So taking the hands back, I'm turning the hands. Some of you are flexible enough, you can just turn your wrists, inch your hands up, like so, and then bring your shoulders back. For those of you that's going to be difficult, then you just hold onto your elbows, press your forearms back into the back ribs, lift the chest, roll the shoulders back. So depending if you have a shoulder injury or there's some tightness there, or you've never done this before, depending on how the wrists are, just take the modification that works for you. So if you have your hands in Namaskar, press into the heel of the hand, press all the fingers against one another, and breathe. Just observe what you feel. Absorb the spine into the body and lift the front chest. So the sternum is about 6 inches long, right at the front of the chest. lift from the bottom, the center of the sternum. If you lift from the bottom, you'll end up moving your front ribs out. So we want to keep the front ribs moving toward the back ribs and lift the side trunk. All right, and then release. And now just bring your arms in front of you. Keep the arms lifted. Cross the arms, hugging yourself. Give yourself a big hug, but keep the upper arms lifted. So if you were giving yourself a hug, it would be like this. So you can stay there, give yourself a hug. And now lift the elbows, lift the upper arms, and bring the arms out. You can see this hand is lower. So you're going to turn that and press it against the top hand. And as you press it, look at your wrists. You want to have your wrists in a neutral position, not bent. So press the hands against one another, and then lift the upper arms up, forearms lifting up, and look straight ahead. Stay with your breath. Feel that broadness across your collarbone, across your shoulders. So your back is wide, shoulders are broad, and then widen through your collarbones. So balancing that action of the widening shoulders with the widening of the front chest. And then release. Extend your arms forward again. Bend the elbows again. Give yourself a hug on the other side. So really reaching in there, holding the shoulders, getting in as close as you can, and then bringing the arms out. Turn that bottom hand, press it against the top hand, and lift up. Stretch right up through the fingers. Bring those wrists into a neutral position and lift the upper arms up, forearms lifting up. Reach up. And then release. And just bring your arms down. Let your shoulders relax down into the fingertips so that the release of the arms come all the way down toward the floor. And as you do that, feeling the armpit chest still lifted. All right, we're going to sit down on the floor now and come into Dandasana. Okay, I'll show you from the side. You can have a bolster or a blanket, so have whatever you need by you, so you'll see. And for some of you, or maybe for most of you, you need to sit up on a little bit of height. When we don't have enough height, our lower back is not able to lift up. So if you're coming like this to a forward bend, that's not going to be so good. So standing or sitting in Dandasana, everyone have support, sitting upright, and then take your right leg back, Janu Sirsasana. So this is an external rotation, so you're turning the leg, thigh is descending, and then you'll come forward. You can have your head resting on that bolster. If you need some extra blanket, or if you need more height than that, take a chair, bring your forearms onto the chair. So you'll come down, and as you come forward, if you can take your hands on your foot, you take your hands on your foot. If you can't manage that, then just have the strap, okay? So using whatever you need to use to get that length, you can hold on to each side of the foot, and then first lengthen. This is moving back, but this is turning, like in the twisting, the back turning, and then coming down finally. So wherever you find yourself, you can bring your forehead down. But if you find yourself like this, take more support so that you can even bring the bolster to support your abdomen, and then bring the head down. So if you have it this way, then have the bolster and the blanket support your head. So here you can, with the bolster this way, you can feel the abdomen. Just let the abdomen widen, the back widen and broaden, and feel that space from within. Sometimes we just need a bit of space. So in a lot of these asanas, we are getting that space We're getting that length. We're getting those connections that we need for the nervous system. We're creating that freedom within ourselves, for ourselves. Just rest your head. Pay attention to your breath. And let your breath be relaxed and soft. And then preparing to come up. Bring both legs into Dandasana again. If you use the bolster, keep the bolster. If you use the bolster horizontally, then you'll take it horizontally. But this feels pretty nice because this supports the whole abdomen, which helps to quiet down the whole nervous system a little bit more even, because there's a little pressure against the abdomen. So be right on the center of the heel, draw the toe back. If this knee is lifted, the bent leg side, put a little blanket or a roll towel under it so that it's able to descend down and then come forward. So if you feel stuck anywhere, just make sure the front ribs are lifting up so the abdomen is releasing. You can feel the pressure from the bolster, just gently pressing against the abdomen. Keep the knee pressing down so you're not falling to that side. And then relax your head, relax your shoulders. So the body naturally wants to tilt to that side where the bent knee is. So pressing that knee down, having a little support to press it into, can keep you in the center of your straight leg. So even though you're in a relaxing pose, there's still action through the legs, but action in a way that doesn't create any strain or stress for you. And you'll know that by your breath. Just keep a gauge on your breath. Keep the breath soft, relaxed, and your abdomen deflated. Inhale, come up, take your blanket away. And you'll come into Paschimottanasana. So now I'm going to need the blanket again as I come forward on the bolster. Now you don't need to use that bolster that way. You can bring it sideways, as I said in the beginning. So taking what's appropriate for you, but have some head support. Let the back body descend down with gravity. So feel how that gravity works for you. Keep the legs actively descending, thighs descending. And then as you come down a little bit, move your bolster forward so that you can move with that length that you're getting. So feeling the abdomen, depress the abdomen as you exhale. Broaden through the lower back. And come right above your knee, the back of the thigh, right at the hamstring where it inserts at the back of the knee. Press that down strongly. And then press down through the top of the thigh. So the hamstrings are working to help you lengthen and release. A few more breaths there. So if this setup didn't work for you,
then you could have a chair, you could have a block, something lower. It's depending on your body. So making those adjustments. All right, and then we'll come up, straighten the arms, bring your bolster over to the side, and now we will go back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, and then go into an inversion, headstand. Some of you may not be doing a headstand, so I'll show another version as well. So coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana, lengthening the lower back, tailbone moving away. Keep your hands firmly on the ground, pressing into the index finger and the thumb. Lengthen up through the inner arm. And then come to the outer shoulders, moving from the outer shoulders down to the little finger side of the hand. And then from the hand, move the hips back. Lengthen through the side trunk. Outer hips moving back, inner thighs rolling back. Stay with your breath. And then come down. Okay, I'm going to show in the chair first for those of you that are not going on your head in a handstand. You can also use crossed bolsters, which is a nice way to come into an inversion. So you'd be able to, I'll just show you here, cross the bolster. I'll show you 3 different variations. Have the bolster like this. If it's not high enough, you can build it up with a couple blocks. This is a pretty meaty bolster, so I'm coming here to the edge of it and then making sure my lower back is lengthened. Press my feet, which lengthens the lower back, and then I'm bringing the crown of the head down, bringing the arms down. Okay, if the head is coming like this, you can build it up more so that you're more on the crown, but don't get any jamming in your neck. So shoulders are moving away. Keep your knees bent and just be there. All right, for those of you that would like to go a little bit higher and drop a little bit further, I'll show you in the chair. So you can have your mat. If you have an extra mat, you can fold it and put it on the chair. If you don't, you could put a blanket there. The mat is nice because you don't slide on it. And then you may want to have support for your head. If you have any kind of neck issues, build that up so that you have enough support. And then take your legs over the back of the chair. And I'm moving my hips all the way in. So here's the back of the chair. My hips are coming all the way to the back so that when I come over the edge of the chair, my shoulder blades are coming off of that edge. And then with the hands, I'm holding, drawing the shoulders back. So now I'm in inversion on the crown of the head. The head is supported. So both sides of the neck are lengthening equally. Back is completely supported. And the legs are supporting me so I don't slide. You can even bring the calves back. And you can also bring the arms over. If that's too much pressure, then keep the hands on the chair rail. So you can stay in that position as well. If you would like to go into headstand, then we'll just show that as well. For those of you that are already practicing headstand, if you're not, you should look at some of the classes where I've gone through all the instructions to go into this. So interlacing my fingers, I'm going to use the wall here. So on the outer edge of the fingers and the outer edge of the wrists, forearms moving down, crown of the head coming right down, coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana with the forearms on the floor. And then walking up, I'm going to bring one leg up, and then I'll bring the other leg up. So I bring the feet together, thighs, inner thighs moving back, press the forearms down, and lift the shoulders up, and then just be there. So if you've been practicing headstand, you know that It's important to keep the foundation, the arms fully grounded, moving down, but lifting up through the shoulders. Soft breath. You can press the heels into the wall and move the tailbone forward. So the whole back of the body is active. Lower wrists pressing down. You can feel the bone of the forearm pressing the elbow, lift up through the shoulders. So whether you're on the bolsters, cross bolsters, or you're on the chair, just come back to your breath. Relax the breath. Feel the breath through the abdomen. If you're practicing away from the wall, you can bring your feet away from the wall. So we won't stay long here, but you can visit the inversions and do them separately from this practice if you'd like to stay longer, depending on what your practice is like. But inversions are important, especially to balance the hormonal system, the endocrine system, tone the nerves, relax the heart, and bring general health to the body. But of course, they must be done correctly. Okay, I'm going to come down. And coming out of that, I'll come into forward Virasana. Those on the bolster can slide down. Those in the chair, you're going to, with your arms, lift yourself up. So I'm just showing in the chair here. So you bend like this, you're going to lift up, press your hands down, and then take your legs wide and come into Uttanasana. Those of you on the floor will come into forward Virasana. Okay, so we can do chair shoulder stand. I think most of you have a chair. If you don't, and you have set up for blankets, you can do shoulder stand with your blankets. So if you've been practicing that way, you can set that way, set up. This is more for people that haven't got those props, don't have the setup for shoulder stand. You can bring your shoulders onto the chair and then bring your feet to the back of the chair rail. Slide your hips down a little bit so you're right on the bone of the lower back. And then keep your hands extending back toward that chair rail, rolling your shoulders under to keep that lift to the chest, and then stretch your legs out. Bring your feet together. If you're having your cycle right now, for some reason it's all of a sudden hit while you're doing this video, then just go down. Don't come into this inversion. Go with the bolster under your back, vertical wise from your tailbone to your head, and come into Supta Baddha Konasana. For anyone else, you can do this. Come back to your breath, feeling that extension. And just breathe into the chest. You can feel the chest opening. Breathe into that. Feeling the breath in the abdominal area. Keeping the breath soft, slow, and smooth. We'll stay here for a few more minutes. If at any point you want to change the position on your legs, you can bring your knees out to the side and bring the sides of the feet onto the chair rail. Come into Baddha Konasana, which is a nice way to keep the pelvis open and feel the breath moving down to the lower pelvic floor. Stay with your breath. Bring your knees together. And either keep your feet on that chair rail or bring your feet down to the seat of the chair. Take your arms out from underneath, holding onto the side rail. To come out, instead of rolling your shoulders under, now you want to lift your shoulders up, kind of round the upper back, and then start to slide down, lifting your head so that you can come down. If you came down and the bolster is underneath your hips and it feels good to stretch the legs out like that, then you can do that. If you have very long femur bone or you're tall, you can remove the bolster and just bring the legs onto the chair. You can bring the chair closer to you so that the femur bone is dropping down into the pelvis and you can feel your lower back supported on the floor. If your legs are long, you can take your bolster and bring it under the calves, which will support the length of your femur bone. Okay? But I have shorter legs, so for me it's better to bring my calves down with this chair. It will depend on the height of your chair, depends on the height of your or the length of your femur bone. And then just be there. Just let the legs relax completely, let the hips get drawn down, and then observe your abdomen again. So coming to that quiet, relaxed, soft breath. Observe your front ribs, if they're moving up toward the ceiling. You can press your elbows down and lift your back ribs. Stretch your back ribs away from your hips so that now your front ribs are descending. So you want your front ribs and your back ribs more balanced in line with one another. And with that, come back to your inhalation, come back to your exhalation. You're just feeling both sides of the hips, well grounded, and as you feel that broadness, feeling the broadness of the middle back, the rib cage. So between the ribs and the pelvis, all of your internal organs are housed, except for your heart and your lungs. So just now with all the work that we've done, creating that space through this entire pelvic cavity, just allow that softness to come there and that release of the whole organic body in an organic way, with each breath softening in a spacious way.
And then just staying there. Stay with your breath. Journey with your breath. Observe what you feel in your body. And come back to your breath. Letting go from the chatter of your mind, the brain. Let the brain become more and more relaxed as you feel that the skull is softening, as the brain is softening. As your eyes are softening and moving down, tongue is relaxing back towards your throat. And you feel that inward movement toward that inner space, into that freedom that you've been creating. Just allow yourself to be there. And just be there. Be content to be there. And allow your body to heal and do what it does best. Namaste. All right. So that was a little bit longer. I hope you enjoyed being in the poses and just going through the whole body so that you feel energized, but also you feel restored and relaxed. If you aren't sure about any of the poses we did, like the inversions, you can go back to the channel and see the classes that are just primarily on how to do those inversions. But for all of us, the inversions are really an important part of our practice, so I encourage you to learn more about those if you haven't been practicing. Okay? I hope you're feeling calm, relaxed, and energized, and I'll see you in the next class. Namaste.